That's right, baby. It's time for movie trailer trash. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the A24 Special. We decided that because there's not a lot of great blockbuster movies type things coming out, that we would go to our favorite studio.
Oh, wow. I don't want you to put that on me.
Okay, probably one of my...
Charlie's favorite studio.
My favorite studio besides Marvel Studios. A24. They have a bunch of movies coming out, and we took 3 of them, and we're going to do an episode on our 3 faves or most interesting of the batch.
Also, this is Movie Trailer Trash. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Char, and that's condescending Bethany.
Wait, you just said
What?
Char.
I'm Char.
You got to finish the name.
Mander.
All right, that's Charlie. I'm Bethany. He forgot to tell you that this is Movie Trailer Trash.
These are the type of things you fix in post. You don't just call someone out on
that. Well, I do things differently.
To you, there is no post.
But we're excited because we do have a unique little thing. You know, sometimes we'll talk about independent films. A24 is not necessarily, it is a studio.
It's a halvesy.
But it funds smaller films that would usually end up having to be independent. So it gives them a little more money so they can take a unique idea and make it good.
And as we're going to find out, all the movies that we're going to be talking about today, all the trailers that we're going to be talking about today, are all writer-director. So it's all written and directed by the same person.
Which I think happens a lot for this, for A24.
Yeah, I think so. I think they do a decent amount of that. They like to give people chances, basically. People
and that's
who
why
have
we love
never
them.
done it before. And
I will say I love them. I just won't say they're my favorites.
But you won't say that you're in love with them.
You just got intense right away.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, we started with the trailer for Under the Silver Lake. Am I right?
Why do we assume that all of this information is what we're told it is? Maybe there are people out there who are more important than us, more powerful, communicating things in the world that are meant for only them and not for us.
Yeah.
Oh, you think that's weird?
A little.
Under the Silver Lake.
Starring Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield's the main character and seemingly the only main character.
Well, what? Okay, let's just...
What?
Let's just go into this because there was a woman I recognized and I couldn't tell if the woman that he was talking to toward the end was the same woman from the beginning.
The girl just in the nurse's outfit?
Yeah.
In the bathroom with him? That was Garfunkel from Garfunkel and Oates.
Yeah, was she the same one from the beginning or no?
No.
Okay, that's where I was confused. So let's just get into it a little bit. Obviously, as always, we have the links to the actual trailers in the description.
Uh-huh.
If you want to stop and watch those first, we're going to start with this one, and then we'll go and talk about the others. So Andrew Garfield basically sees a pretty girl in a pool at his hotel, it seems, and I think he start a relationship or friendship. Did I say hotel? I meant apartment.
It's their apartment complex. And
I don't know if they start a relationship, but they're definitely friends. Like they start like hanging out and talking.
And he's a little dweeb man.
And at first,
he's a loser dweeb.
The first time we watched it, I was like, oh, he has autism. Because like he did something that was super awkward and weird. And it reminded me of Rain Man. But then the rest of the time I was like, no, I don't think he does. He's just, like you said, a little bit uncomfortable or socially awkward.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the idea is he meets this pretty girl. And then one day he goes and knocks on her door. She's not answering. He peeks in and all her stuff is gone.
Like everything.
Everything. Furniture, she's moved out.
Like it's looked like there's been no one living in there for months.
And so he goes and talks to the landlord, seemingly, and he's like, I don't get what your problem is. She just moved out. People move out. It's not that big of a deal. And he's like, I just don't know why she wouldn't tell me. And he's like, maybe she didn't like you. And so then it seems that he goes on this wild goose chase to try and find her based on a bunch of random things that he thinks are clues, but also he might be crazy.
Right. And I think that's going to be the either payoff or at least a big portion of this movie is he just imagining these things that are seemingly clues and stuff. And there's a part that when the end of the trailer comes up and it gets more dramatic and intense and stuff, that he's in this like crazy area where people are like dressed up and stuff, and he's kind of in a cave and something's happening.
It's like a party.
It looks like a party, and I think that it's happening in the real world.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because you can.
Are you talking about when they say "Welcome to Hell"?
Purgatory.
Oh yeah, well, welcome to Purgatory, and he's like glad to be here. I think it's supposed to be some cool club or some cool like.
I think it's a themed, religious themed like
party,
like frat party, basically.
Which, by the way, I bet you don't know this. It's kind of interesting. I was going to say ironic. I don't know if that's the right word for this case, but
it almost never is.
But the Met Gala just did a religious themed Met Gala.
Oh,
Did you hear about that?
No.
It's weird. It was literally called Angelic Bodies.
The Met Gala is thoroughly uninteresting.
Yeah,
to
but
me.
listen to this because it's weird. The theme was angelic bodies and Catholic
Schoolboys.
Catholic style or something. I don't know. It was literally something like angels and Catholic.
Angel.
Is the theme.
No, the theme was angels in the outfield.
Listen, there were people wearing ridiculous Pope hats. Katy Perry came in on her own Pope mobile wearing giant angel's wings. But my favorite one was Zendaya. You know her, right? She plays Mary
Jane.
She came in straight up dressed like Joan of Arc. Like she was wearing a dress, but it was like made of chainmail and like armor. And she had short red hair. It was awesome. She was the only one that looked good. Everybody else looked ridiculous, but nonetheless, it's just kind of funny to think they might have a party that's like a religious themed party because it's such a like weird idea, and yet Met Gala just did that.
Yeah, well, I
funny.
think they're mostly making fun of it, probably.
Well, I mean, Met Gala's not taking itself
They
too
had
seriously
like
either.
they had like a band that was all dressed. Everyone in the band was dressed as Jesus.
And there was a big cross in the back and it said Jesus on it. But
and
that's what I'm
so-
saying. Like, I
which
don't think they're
actually,
taking it seriously.
that
It's just
kind
a
of
fun party. It's
that-
a theme.
That kind of sounds like a fun thing to see.
Yeah.
Like a party where, everyone's kind of just, doing whatever.
I mean, as weird as it was fun to see in the Met Gala too. Like nobody would think to have that as a theme, but when you do, it's kind of funny.
And so here's what I think is going on with this movie is that I think that throughout the movie, he's going to be obsessing over this and like it's going to be a lot of him talking really fast to his friends and the people that he knows about theories and all kinds of other stuff, and a lot of them calling him crazy. And I think that in the end, he's just going to be crazy. And the girl never liked him. He talked to her like once, and he thought that they had like a special relationship.
Maybe he talked to her like once, and then he would say hi to her at like the mailbox.
Right.
So he's like, "Why wouldn't she tell me?" He's like, "She barely knew you, dude."
So like he's like accidentally
well, we said hi every day,
a creepy stalker,
but he didn't know it.
but he didn't know it.
Well, in a way, I was gonna say it reminds me of like Paper Towns, except weird and
I don't know what
crazy.
that's about.
Paper Towns. It's a book that I always wanted to read. I've never read it, but a movie came out on it too. But basically, a girl goes missing and she leaves her friend a bunch of clues. And I think that in that one, it's on purpose, like she is playing a game with him or something.
Okay.
But it's kind of a mystery too. But this one seems
so
like
maybe
that,
that's
but
what this
weird.
is. Maybe this is like going to be a weird dark twist on that story.
Yeah,
that
like
might be what's going on.
or a
here.
weird like mental game. But just looking at it, one thing that I was thinking, because you were saying you thought it looked kind of interesting, I think that
No,
it looks.
I'm really into it, is what I said.
I didn't hear what you said. What came across was you were interested.
I don't listen to the
Listen.
words that you say. I just
My
hear the
brain
general
finds
emotion.
the general feeling. No, what I'm going to say, and I think this is absolutely true, especially for you, Charlie, is this to me looks like it's going to be a classic Ingrid Goes West situation.
Maybe.
Ingrid Goes West, like, first of all,
I'd say 24 too, right?
I don't know, but the trailer was very similar, like a very similar feel, very similar film style. And Aubrey Plaza's amazing in Ingrid Goes West. So is Elizabeth Olsen. The actors are all good. There's some really, really good moments, but the end is kind of disappointing and like, well, that could have been better.
But the reason I think that this one is different is because I think that it's more out there as a concept.
I don't think so. They're both pretty out there.
Really? Ingrid Goes West?
Yes, it's about a crazy stalker who moves across the country to a whole new place to stalk her favorite Instagram girl.
No, but this one is more about
That's
like
pretty out there.
conspiracy and, this guy's wild theories
yeah, I mean,
and all that
but
stuff.
they're both super
And
out there.
Wouldn't it be interesting if it actually, it gets to the end and
stalking happens every day. That's not weird.
and you're supposed to, and also it does happen every day.
Yeah, but it's super weird.
And you're supposed to think that he's you
Crazy.
given up.
Or
You're
given
supposed to think he's gone insane, and he didn't really like this girl, or she didn't really like him. And then at the very end, you find out that all of the clues were actually happening,
the
and he had
thing is,
actually figured it
You're
out.
saying it's more out there because it's a mystery, because the whole time you won't know what's real and what's not.
I think it's described itself
saying-
as a noir type thing.
I'm saying it doesn't matter. In the end, They're both weird stories that aren't usually told, and they're intriguing. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Watching somebody stalk someone and be creepy, like that sounds interesting. And it is interesting, but mostly kind of depressing and kind of, what's the word? What's the word you would use for Ingrid Goes West?
The
ending
Aubrey
is
Plaza
not disappointing. What's not disappointing, but like mediocre. That's the word.
I guess, yeah.
It ends up being kind of mediocre. Like, there are so many things they could have done to make that movie 10 times better just by adding just a couple things.
All right.
I think this is going to be like that.
Well, let's talk about, just real quick, I just want to mention first of all, this comes out June 22nd.
Okay.
So in a little over a month. So that'll be, I think it'll be good. The director and writer is David Robert Mitchell, who wrote and directed It Follows.
Yeah, and I saw that.
You've seen It Follows?
No, I saw that on the trailer. I noticed
I
that.
haven't seen it yet, but it's supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah, I don't know about really, really good, but I've heard like, oh, it's actually good.
It has a
That's what I've heard.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has an 83 on Metacritic.
The concept of It Follows is that it's a horror movie where there's some sort of possession or demon or something, and when you have sex with somebody, you give it to them.
Wait, a demon or a demon?
Doesn't matter. When you have sex with somebody, you give them whatever this disease is or this evil spirit, and then they will either die or give it on to somebody else. Like, you have to hurry up and have sex with someone. So you all have to like have evil
STD,
sex.
sexually transmitted
But you
demon.
like want to give it away because you want to, yeah. It's weird. Another movie where it's like, that's a weird concept.
But it sounds
But
interesting.
people
It's
liked
something
it.
that you've never heard before, you know?
Yeah, people liked it, so.
All right, well, let's move on to our next movie, which is going to be 8th Grade.
So, the topic of today's video is being yourself. Being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself? And yeah, for sure. But being yourself is like not changing yourself to impress someone else.
Okay, so we just watched the trailer for 8th Grade. Took a little pause, watched it.
So we're not going to try and fool the audience here.
Nope.
No?
Why are you into fooling people today?
I mean, I just want to fool
How
them.
often do we go in and like super edit and like...
How often do I get to fool people?
Anyway.
On a daily
I don't know.
basis.
Okay, so we just watched it, and Bo Burnham, the comedian, wrote and directed this.
Yes, he did.
For those of you who don't know him, he's pretty funny.
That he is.
He does a lot of sing-songy jokes.
Well,
and he's really ethereal.
What was that?
Like, he thinks about things really, you know.
Okay.
He's like very like spiritual.
That was the most descriptive thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
He's like thinks about like things in a really critically.
While you think about it, I'm going to tell people who don't really know a lot about Bo Burnham.
Intellectual. He's very intellectual.
About him.
That's what I meant.
Because a lot of people have heard of Bo Burnham because he was kind of one of the first YouTube famous people. Not the first, but in that area when it started to become an actual platform.
Yeah, when you started calling them YouTubers.
And he was, he did silly songs, and they're very funny still.
Yep.
But after he got famous from doing that, he started doing stand-up. And his first stand-up thing that he did was a lot of his songs from his YouTube channel, and a few other little things that he put in there. But then as he went on, he started doing these like really like heady, high concept
there
things.
We go. Ethereal, intellectual.
Yeah. And like there's this whole bit that he does it's a song, but it's also, kind of a sketch and a bit where his left brain is talking to his right brain, and it's really, really good.
I don't remember that one.
Kind of sad and also funny at the same time, and also makes you feel good by the end of it because of the what happens in the sketch. And that, I feel, is a great representation of how this trailer made me feel.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he is very intellectual, and he makes you think about life, and he makes connections that, you maybe haven't made before, and you think of it and you're like, wow, that's interesting. He talks about things like depression and anxiety and all sorts of things that don't seem like something to talk about in stand-up comedy, but they are. He's funny, and yet sometimes you like laugh, and then he tells the rest of the joke, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the funny part is at the beginning, and the part at the end is like, oh, now I'm sad. Where
Right.
some, other comedians do it the opposite, where it sounds bad and then they make you laugh.
And then there's this throughout his specials, during the special, maybe sometimes even more in the later ones, but he will just do a whole 2 or 3 minute long thing that is just entirely serious.
Yep.
Where
Like
it's just-
he'll read a
it's
poem.
Not supposed to be funny
That's
at all.
like a legit poem. And the fun thing is, though, you don't always know.
Right.
Like you'll be like waiting for it to get funny, and then you're like, oh wow, that was just serious. And
Well,
like,
in
yeah,
his,
that was just something I wrote.
in his second one, he has a song called Art is Dead.
Yeah.
And it's mostly not funny. It's mostly like a dramatic thing.
Yeah.
And even in his stuff that is silly and ridiculous, there are parts of it in there that are like real life things.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you can tell, but I love Bo Burnham.
Yeah, and you know what? He's weird. For me, it's really hard to sit through an entire special of his, stand-up special, just because he's a lot to take, but he's so good. So, I mean, I'm willing to sit through all of it because he's very, very talented
It's one of the
as a writer.
his style, I feel like, is not the same content-wise, but in the way that he wants it to not be able to be categorized.
Okay.
Is kind of like how I feel Donald Glover makes Atlanta.
Okay.
So like you basically cannot put a genre onto Atlanta.
Yeah, it's just telling
It's not
a story.
a comedy,
and
it's
you
not a
don't
drama,
know,
it's not a, whatever. It's just life.
and you don't know what you're going to get.
And so exactly. And so I feel like that him writing and directing a movie, especially directing it because, he is obviously a really smart person.
Yeah, he's very smart, and he thinks about things differently, so he's going to have a good eye, I think.
And also writing, I think it's a really good platform for him.
Yeah.
And doing middle school, because this takes place
I was
over.
going to say, let's talk about the trailer.
Yeah, sorry. This movie takes place over the last week of 8th grade for this girl.
Oh, you think it's just going to be the last week?
That's what it says on IMDb in the little synopsis.
Okay.
Oh, upset by that?
Spoiler. I knew it was going to take place in 8th grade, though, because it's
and-
called 8th grade.
Well, and the guy says that. Her dad says that.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So one more week of 8th
Yeah,
grade,
but that could have
huh?
been at any point during the movie.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Shoot.
Shoot it oop.
All right.
What was I saying?
Focus up.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it takes
It's
over
about an 8th
the
grade girl.
last week of the girl in 8th grade, and she is not necessarily like an outcast. She's not a, in a clique of some kind. She's not a supreme loser.
She's just trying to figure out who she is.
She's just like a typical average person in
well,
8th
it
grade.
does look like she's a little bit of an outcast, but not like, not like a supreme loser, but like it looks like she doesn't really have any friends, and it doesn't seem like she knows how to talk to people. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
But you forgot to mention that it all starts off with her, like a really big close up on her face, and she's like, "Hey guys, thanks for watching my channel." Like, so she's a YouTuber herself,
Right.
which makes sense that he's doing that since he has so
He
much
knows the
experience in
world.
it. But the funny thing is, at the very beginning, she's like, and people always say like it's important to be yourself, and then you're like, but aren't I always myself? And like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, but it's funny because she's clearly like, the channel itself, I think, is going to be her kind of giving her thoughts on life from an 8th grade perspective. And I think she's, she also said something about how people always think I'm shy or quiet, but really, if you got to know me, I'm not shy or quiet. And then like the next scene, it shows like her principal or somebody giving out awards at a thing, and they're like, the award for most quiet goes to, and it's her. So
Most
like,
quiet.
it's just silly because it's the idea that people don't know you.
Well, and a great thing
and it's hard for you to get to know them.
about that, and it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with Bo Burnham, where like nothing's good or bad or whatever. Everything's just everything at the same time. Whereas, that moment is funny.
Yeah.
And he presents it as funny because it is, but it could also be perceived as like a crushing blow to her.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's frustrating.
And so it's like
God,
it's
why
a
do
funny
people keep seeing me
thing
this way?
that is also super sad, but is also, kind of funny kind of good because it means that people are noticing you and acknowledging you for something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because there was this girl that went to middle school and high school with me, and I think I said this to her at some point, and it's a mean thing to say, but I was in high school, and I think a lot of people said this to her all the time. That's her reaction. Is I was like, I'm so glad I got to know you. You're so nice. I always thought you were a bitch.
What?
Everybody thought she was. I told you it was me.
I thought you were going to say,
I told you it was me.
I'm so glad I got to get to know you. You're always so quiet all the time.
Hang on, but the thing is...
I thought you were going to say you're always so quiet all the time and no one ever talks to you. But you said...
She was. That's what I'm getting to the point, though, okay? This was high school.
You're a terrible person.
Hang on.
Find this person
she said
and apologize.
Oh, she knows. I did. I mean, it's fine. She's a good person. She's doing well. But the thing is, she's like, everybody always says that. I'm not mean. Like, I'm not mean to anybody. I was like, yeah, you just seem like really irritated all the time. Like, I thought you hated me. Because I talk a lot and you're quiet, so I thought you just hated me. Because also, I got a lot of flack for being the person who's constantly talking and very outgoing, and some people really hated me. Like, they're like, God, that girl's annoying. And I assumed because I would be talking and talking and talking, and I'd look at her, and she'd just be looking at me and not smiling and not responding. That, to me, assumed that she hated me and that she was a biatch.
Yeah.
But the point is, lots of people thought that. So the idea is that it's frustrating for people when they're perceived differently than they want to be perceived, but it's hard because you can't just be like, see me the way I see myself, you know? And so that's kind of her. I think that's her getting on YouTube. But I also think it might be that these last 2 weeks is like she's just starting. She might have been doing this for a while, or she might just be starting it. Like, I'm going to put myself out there on YouTube.
Last thing I'll say before we move on to the next movie.
Yeah.
Is I don't think anything's going to necessarily happen.
Yeah, I think it's literally just going to be her last 2 weeks of school. And
I think she's had a bad year of 8th grade.
Yeah,
and
which most people don't
and then
have
it's going to
great years
end
of 8th grade.
And then she's going to have to go on to high school, and then I think you see her at the end starting high school with those high schoolers.
Yeah.
The upperclassmen that are like, when did you get Snapchat? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe
because she
fits
knows
in
them
there
or something. Well, I think the thing that's cool about this is we were talking about how intellectual and interesting he is. I think he's trying to show the world the type of deep thoughts that an 8th grader would have, because especially as adults, we're so detached from our the childhood version of ourselves, right? Like, you even say a lot of times you can't remember much about your childhood.
I did hit myself in the head a lot, though.
No,
I did.
Stop it. Yeah,
I worry about that sometimes.
When you were really, really young. Anyway, you're getting off track. So the point is, I think the whole point is he's taking kind of things he probably thought about when he was in 8th grade, and he's thinking, you know, 8th graders, middle schoolers, kids have these great deep thoughts, but they're different than an adult's because they're coming from a totally different perspective. And yet we don't listen to them, you know, a lot of times. I mean, some people do, teachers do, parents do, but you don't always. And I think, you know, she's talking about how the great thing about life is that you don't always know what's next, and it's kind of scary and exciting all at the same time. And these ideas are deep and they're meaningful to even adults, but a lot of times because we're so jaded and we've seen the world in such a different way and had all these experiences, we may not know or hear these deep thoughts that these children have.
All right, well, let's move on to our next trailer.
Okay.
Never Goin Back.
That's the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Is this seriously how you're coming to work? Y'all are high as fuck.
Shit, she knows. Dude, how does she know?
All right. The movie Never Goin Back. The directorial and writing debut of Augustine Frizzell.
Okay.
Or maybe it's Frizzle. Probably not. It's probably Frizzell. All right, so this movie, obviously this is the... this is her first movie, writing and directing. This one has a very similar style to a lot of other A24 movies that I've noticed.
Yeah.
It's coming of age type thing. And there's not really a whole lot of story to it. It's these two girls
want to go to the beach.
They want to go to the beach. They work at some diner or something like that, and, you know, they end up going to a party. They get in trouble. They get arrested for a couple days.
They lose their job.
Yeah, they lose their job, but I'm sure that...
But they're going to go to the beach.
I bet they end up at the beach.
The words on the screen during the trailer said, "A love letter to teenage rebellion." And another one said something about, like, a story of...
A relatable story of the power of friendship?
No, of glorious idiocy.
Oh, well, yeah, that too.
It's interesting, I think, and it said, you know, a raunchy whatever. So I think the thing is, this is another one where it's like somebody thought, let me try and show what being a teenager actually is like. And this is always a tough thing for an adult to write. No matter how much you think you remember your teenage life, it's still tough, you know? Like, teenagers may look at this and be like, that's not right. But I think that it looks pretty accurate to some extent. I mean, everybody's life is different. I didn't party in high school and get high and lose my job. But
I think they did a pretty good job and specific job of showing that this is a bad area.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still, even in good areas, people party and get high and lose their jobs.
No, but I mean, like, everything's like dirty. Everyone.
I mean, it didn't look that bad to me.
Everyone's like,
I think I don't know. It looked like the place I grew up. It didn't look that bad to me. It's definitely not the nice, rich kid neighborhood by any means. They're wearing like, they're not rich, but they're not in poverty. They're not like inner city kids. In fact, it looks almost not like the country, but like a rundown suburb.
Well, they said they're going to Galveston, Florida.
Oh, is it Florida? I saw
Texas. I mean, Galveston, Texas.
I heard Galveston, but I didn't know where that was.
And
yeah, so it kind of looks a little bit rural.
So yeah, I think it's supposed to be, one of those like, many miles in between the 4 cities in Texas.
But anyway, the point is, these girls, they're really raunchy. They're constantly doing the eat me out symbol and like saying F you, but actually saying the word, flipping people off, doing all that. Going to parties, getting high, doing things they're not supposed to. But like they seem to be like the whole teenage rebellion thing. I feel that, like the angst that they have, that they're just angry at the world. Like a lady's like, you girls need to mow that lawn. And they're like, oh yeah, we do? Whatever. And she's like, what does she say?
The city's gonna come down on you.
The city's gonna come down on you, and they're like, ew, the city's gonna come on us. So like, they're very raunchy, and then they start giving the eat me out symbol, and she's like, you guys are nasty.
Now I
think they're like, yeah, we are. I totally get that as a teenager.
Yeah, definitely.
Being like, oh yeah, we are. We're so bad.
I think that the good moments of this movie will come in between all of that.
Sure.
When their
like the kid
guard is down and they're talking to people. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that's funny.
I thought you meant the little things. No, I mean, here's the thing. I will say, it looks like an interesting friendship. It looks like an interesting look at friendship, like a more realistic look and not the perfect, polished written story of a friendship, but like real friendship. But the one thing that confuses me about this is, are these 2 teenagers living alone with no parents? Or are we just to imagine that their parents are not around right now? Because it literally looks like they live alone completely. Which would make a lot of sense, though, as to why, first of all, why they're so angsty, why they're like, we deserve this. Because she's talking to her. In fact, the first time we watched it, I wasn't sure if they were teenagers until it said a love story to teenage angst. I thought maybe they were young adults rooming together.
Well, and isn't that guy that they're talking to in that office, is that their boss, or is that like a principal or something?
No, that was their boss.
Okay.
He was saying, you guys are like super smart and funny, and you're one of the few things I like about work.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But you're screw ups, basically. But the thing is, so they're wearing, they're going to work and stuff, and at the very beginning she's like, wake up, listen, we're gonna go to the beach because we deserve it. And I just thought maybe they were like 2 young young adults trying to make it and rooming together.
That is a classic story if this movie were not made by A24.
What? 2 young adults trying to make it together?
No, yeah, just like two friends who have the means and availability to go somewhere.
Don't have the means. That's what I thought.
No, that do have the means.
But I was saying I thought they didn't have the means.
Well, no, that's the point in this one. That's what I'm trying to say, is that they are in a shitty situation, whereas a movie that was made by like, a different studio, it would be,
You're thinking
Kristen
like
Wiig
Spring
and
Breakers.
someone else going to like on a journey movie where they go to the beach and they like pick up a hitchhiker that is Zach Galifianakis and he does something crazy.
But I think what you're thinking of is like Spring Breakers, where they're just rich people going on spring break.
No, Spring Breakers, by the way, is A24. And
I heard it was very terrible.
It's insanely artsy and everything, and not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the point is that those people are rich and they go on a trip.
Yes, I think they rob a store, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But anyways, doesn't matter. The point is, it's interesting. There's something going on here that we don't understand. is really weird. I mean, it's possible that their parents just don't give a crap about what they do ever. And that happens in high school all the time too. Like there are lots of kids I knew who's not because their parents didn't care about them, but their parents were working all the time or something. And so if I spent the night at their house, it was just us hanging out, doing whatever we wanted.
I think that it seems to me like they're on their own, first of all. And
that's
second of
saying.
all, I think that you find out exactly what the situation is in the first 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't
think
it's a mystery by any means. I'm just saying based on the trailer, it's a little bit of a mystery. It would make a lot of sense if they're on their own. And it would be sad too.
It would be sad, but I think that, you're supposed to feel for them. I think that this movie is just going to be a, what is the word? Character study of the two of them.
All about character
And
development.
I mean, obviously when they get arrested, that's a thing that will happen, but
I think that it's going to be a little bit cathartic to watch like people who maybe don't have the same situation as you, but just watch people who are frustrated at life and because they're teenagers, they have such low inhibitions that they're just like, fuck you all, and flipping people off in the grocery store and wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Their inhibitions are just so low when you're a teenager. You're like, I'm going to tell somebody exactly what I think. So it might be a little cathartic.
I do know, and I agree with you. And in saying that, let's move on to where, when, and how you're going to see these movies.
Ooh.
Where, when, how are you going to see this movie?
Okay. So, these are all coming out in theater, am I correct?
Yes, they are. And then
Theater
let's do
releases?
it in the order that we did it, which is the order that they will be released in theater. So Under the Silver Lake, June 22nd. What are you going to do?
June 22nd. So, I mean, we'll probably be on vacation.
Vacay,
or at least about to go on vacation. But the point is, I don't think that I'll run to see this one in the theater, but obviously we have Movie Pass now. So as we've said before, that does change everything. It's possible you'll talk me into seeing it. But I'd rather wait till it comes out on a streaming service.
I would love to see this in movie theaters. I could easily see not finding the time to go.
Yeah.
But I think that this one should be seen in a movie theater for the experience, not necessarily a nice movie theater.
Yeah. But why? Because, I mean, it's not like an action movie or something with good effects. Like, why does it need to be seen in a theater?
Because you have to focus on it.
You could focus in your dark basement.
Well, yeah, you can,
Turn off all
but
the lights.
not if you're watching it with you.
Oh, okay. Look, sometimes something that happens on screen intrigues me. I want to say something to you, like, can you believe that happened? Or, oh, that's ridiculous.
And then it starts
It's
a
just
string
commentary.
of, what did that guy say? Because I was talking? What did that guy say? Because I was
maybe
asking what that guy said?
If you were just kind, you would just tell me what they said and we'd move on and there'd be no problem.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I don't want to see this in theater, but if we do, I think what will happen is you'll drag me to go see it. We'll see it in a small theater, and then it'll be deja vu. We'll be like exactly like watching Ingrid Goes West. We'll go to that theater. Afterwards, we'll walk to the burger place down the street, and on the way, I'll be like, what'd you think? And you'll be like, I don't know. And I'll be like, really? I liked it. It was all right. And you're like, I was disappointed. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to be disappointed.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the best movie ever, but I do think that I'm going to, like me specifically, I'm going to like it a lot.
And that's why I think you'll be disappointed.
All
Is
right,
because
well,
you think you're going to like it.
Let's move on to 8th Grade, directed and written by Bo Burnham.
Yeah, I want to see this one in theater to support Bo Burnham, to support what looks to be an awesome movie. And as we always say, if you have the chance to support an A24 movie or an independent film that looks good, then do it, because we need more interesting stories in the world.
Yes, that is true. I have a feeling that this movie will affect me more than I think it will.
Oh, you gonna cry?
I mean, you never know.
Tear up a little bit?
You never know.
I've never seen you cry in a movie, I don't think.
Well, it's usually pretty dark. I cry during every movie I see.
Shut up.
At some point.
For real, have you ever cried because of a movie moving you?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you think of what movie?
Bowling for Columbine.
Never seen it, so can't.
It's
Did you
about
cry during
Columbine.
it for real?
Yeah.
Oh wow, look at you. Real human emotions.
But yeah, I think this one
It looks so good.
Yeah, because it'll be one of the first movies that I think will properly represent the modern era of, high school / middle school type of things. And I think that,
we already know he's a good writer. So that helps us on deciding whether or not we want to see it. We know he's a good writer and
because
a smart person.
There were so many movies that people talk about, like the generation before us talk about, like perfectly encapsulate high school in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah, so maybe this will perfectly encapsulate the 2010s.
Yeah, I think that... I
the
think
20
that this,
teens, that's
and
what
I
I'm gonna call
will
it.
urge a lot of other people to go see it if it's good, because I think that that's something that could easily be missed. You know what I mean?
Like this generation of kids?
No,
like telling their
just
story?
this quality
this
movie.
movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, this movie could easily be missed, and I think we'll definitely advocate for it.
Yeah. All right. The last one, Never Going Back. What are you going to do?
Okay, I have a very specific way I would like to watch this.
Ooh, okay.
I want to watch this on a 3-day weekend when you and I go on a short road trip to, say, the Lake of the Ozarks or somewhere in Arkansas or wherever, somewhere in Omaha. The places we can drive to.
Somewhere in Arkansas.
The places that we can drive to within 4 hours.
Nowhere specific in Arkansas.
Listen.
I just want to be in Arkansas.
Listen, I have a 4-hour window for a 3-day trip. We've talked about this. If we're going to go on a 3-day weekend trip, I don't want to drive more than 4 hours. That limits us greatly. Okay, it does. Now there are places we could go to Omaha. We could probably go to Iowa, but why would we ever want to do that? And like going to Iowa.
Wow, way to upset all of our Iowans.
Hang on, listen, guys.
Iowa
if you live
listeners.
in Iowa, I'm sure it's a pretty place to live. I'm sure there's great people there. I know there's great people there.
You don't have to lie with the first one.
But okay, but I will say all of the cities in Iowa, to me, are like going to any city besides Omaha and Nebraska. Like they don't have an Omaha in Iowa. There's no place that has
Omaha isn't like this magical metropolis.
No, not by any means, but it's a visit. Like there's all these like Visit Omaha website and like all this touristy stuff. It's not
that
like Iowa City.
I have
has
never
its own
seen
thing.
a Visit Iowa promotion.
Exactly. There's no like Visit Iowa City, visit Des Moines today. Like nobody expects you to do that. They might be like, drive through Des Moines on your way to Chicago today. Like
drive through Des Moines, but not at night.
Stop
You might miss
for
it.
gas. Yeah. But anyway, the point is we've spent a lot of time driving through Iowa. That's the point here. But no, I think it would be fun for you and me to watch this on a weekend where it's just the two of us getting away. We did this one time ever before, and it was an A24 movie. We watched
Short Term 12.
Short Term 12 with Brie Larson.
Which now I kind of want to buy that.
It's an amazing movie. Amazing. If you have a chance, Short Term 12. It was on Netflix, wasn't it? Yeah, it was on Netflix.
Yeah, for a bit, yeah.
Because that's when we watched it. We didn't have Hulu or anything back then. But we were in the Lake of the Ozarks. We just got in and we got in late at night. So we ordered a pizza, sat on the hotel bed and watched this awesome movie. And it was such a fun experience. And it's one of my favorite movies, like looking back on it. So I think this would be fun for that purpose. I don't need to see this in movie theater.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I would want to see this in the theater either. I also would probably wait to stream it instead of renting it.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But that doesn't mean I think it's going to be a bad movie.
No, I think it'll be interesting. You know what? I think this one will be more on par if you're going to compare it to another indie film. I think it would be more on par with The Way Back.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's a great movie, right? So The Way Back, I got
to write that down.
What? The Way Back?
Yeah, just because I forgot
Short
about
Term
it.
12. Well, anyway, the thing is there was about a 3-year period of time. I think it was like 2012, 13, and 14, where there was just so many amazing independent films. And Charlie, growing up, and most people growing up don't watch a lot of independent films.
Yeah, you don't act like you watched a bunch of indie movies.
No, but I watched
a
a lot of different kinds of movies. I watched musicals. I watched dramas. You, growing up, watched mostly the stereotypical boy movies, action movies, superhero movies. It was pretty, limited.
Do you mean the stereotypical best movies?
Shut up. So it was pretty limited. Then Charlie and I started dating, and I was like, why don't we try this movie? And he was like, wow, there's so many great movies out there. And so we got on this kick. But I think it helped that when we started watching independent films, it was those 3 years that they were just great, back to back to back.
Well, and then Room came out shortly after that, too.
No, Room came out more recently.
Well, not like right after
Like in
Short Term 12,
2016.
obviously, but
Short Term 12 was 2013, which I think is like one of the best years.
yeah, but
for
like 2 years counts as recently.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, but like, okay, some of the movies we watched. We watched Mud, great movie, Matthew McConaughey. We watched that Joe one, what's it called? Killer Joe. Not great movie, but Matthew McConaughey. Not a bad movie, but I wouldn't recommend it. We watched The Way Back.
Short Term 12, Way Back.
Hey, calm down. Why you gotta speed it up? We watched Kings of Summer.
I don't think that's an indie movie.
It's at least an A24 movie, type of movie.
I don't know.
Yeah, Kings of Summer is not a big budget movie by any means. Not by any means.
But it had Nick Offerman in it. Oh, we also watched... Do you remember Wrist Cutters, A Love Story?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I liked that
There was a lot of great movies, but The Way Back had Steve Carell in it. So you're telling me a movie with Nick Offerman cannot be an independent film, but a movie with Steve Carell can?
He demands the big bucks,
Oh,
man.
my God. Anyway, the movie with Steve Carell, though, was about a boy just going to a beach house with his mom for the summer. And she brings her new boyfriend along.
All right,
so
we are already over time.
Hang on. The point is, it's just like a movie about being a kid and dealing with like life. And I think this will have a very similar vibe. And I think that it'll be good. This is our podcast. We get to decide how long it is.
That's truth.
So what's your deal?
My deal is that I want to move on to Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
Oh, there's that. Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
This is what happens when you want to do 3 movies in one podcast. It was a fun idea, but I'm just saying it's long.
No, I mean, we're only at 40 minutes. If we can keep this short,
All
we're
right,
good.
let's do it. So Rotten Tomatoes, first movie, Silver Pond. Nope. Under the Silver Lake, right?
Silver Pond.
I got panicked. Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to give this one. You said his other movie got 90 something. I'm going to give this
97.
one 87.
Okay.
10 points lower. For critics and audience, I'm going to give it 70%.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 78
Because they're going to be like, it's weird.
across the board.
Okay.
For Under the Silver Lake. I think that it will be good. I said, I think that it'll be good, but I think that it's for like a specific person.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I think that I fall into that category of specific person.
All right, now what do you think about 8th grade?
8th grade, I think, is going to get a 97%.
I'm going to give it a 94.
I think that critics will
93.
lose their mind over this movie.
I'm going to give it a 93 because there are movies recently that have gotten like the really great movies of the last year got around 92, 93. When you think about like War for the Planet of the Apes, Wonder Woman,
But this doesn't get rated on that same
Quiet
scale.
Place. A Quiet Place. I'm saying they all get rated on the same scale of 0 to 100. And I'm saying that these excellent movies got like 92, 93%. I think that 92 and 93, I think, is the new 98.
I just wrote down that we still need to see Lady Bird,
Oh, sure, yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that got like a 98.
That's true, but you see what I'm saying, though? Like the 92 and 93, people are being a little bit more strict on their rating system, I think.
Okay. So what did you say, 94?
93.
93? I said 97.
All right, and then, I mean, I'll just keep it across the board on that. We
Yeah.
don't need to get into details. I don't know what the audience will think. Third movie, what's it called?
Never Going Back.
Okay. I think that this movie won't do as well. I think it'll get a 77, but that's still pretty good. And I think that, all the critics will have all these interesting things to say about it. And, people will like it.
Okay, I was going to say 71.
Okay. I still think that's pretty good. If it gets a 71, I think I'll like the movie.
Okay.
If it's for me, I think if it's above a 67,
I think that
then
it
it's
would.
probably good.
I think that it's going to be shot and everything in a way that would warrant a really high score, but I think that critics often get scared away by
Vulgar things?
yeah, for lack of a
Overly
better
vulgar,
word.
overly. Well, here's the thing. I will say,
Over the top characters, I guess.
you know how you said that you might be surprised at how emotional or how intense you feel about watching 8th grade? I think that watching this, that it'll be like going back in time. Like, I think it'll be like warping myself back in time mentally to high school. I feel like those girls their relationship is going to be so similar to me and my best friends. because we were very close. Like there's a scene where they're just like,
where she draws the penis on your face while you're sleeping.
no, that never happened.
Oh.
But where she wakes her up and the girl finds out she drew a penis on her face and she like tackles her and they're in their underwear, but it's not gay, you know?
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, they're not, like, at first, because at first I was like, oh, are they girlfriends? But then I was like, no, they're just friends. They're just hanging out. They're open and close with each other. They don't care. They're just hanging out in their underwear, flipping people off, you know? And I feel like watching it will remind me so much of my youth. So I think I like it.
Good. I mean, A24 is doing their job, man.
I hope so. I hope these are good.
And yeah, they just give the A24. They just give these people these opportunities to make the movies that they want to make, and just let them do whatever they want to do. And a lot of the time, it turns out really, really well.
And so if
every
you're
once in a while
interested,
they have a stinker or two, but
sure. But if you're interested at all, I say go see it. You know, if you have the time and the money, if you have the movie pass, whatever, go see it. Go see any of these. I think it's great to support them.
Well, good. Well, let's wrap it up.
Let's do some plugs.
You can go to our website, mttpodcast.com. Got a whole bunch of stuff there. You can go to our Twitter, @MTTPodcast, Facebook, Movie Trailer Trash Podcast, Instagram, @MovieTrailerTrash. They're all different, and they're all the same at the same time.
I mean, I think you'll find us if you search for us. if you try MTT Podcast and you don't find us, try the Movie Trailer Trash one. You'll find us.
And then
okay?
also go to the link in our description, and you can get a free 30-day trial from Audible, along with 2 free audiobooks. So read some books, get some inspiration. Maybe you can be the next writer-director for A24 after you write your amazing screenplay.
Good point.
And as always, you can follow Entertainment Buffet at Entertainment Buffet and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Peace.